Good afternoon, everyone, if you are watching live, or good afternoon, good morning, good evening if you're watching this on replay. My name is Lisa Crosbie. I'm here with my colleague Rishona Elijah, and today we are going to be talking to you about the Wave 2 2023 release for Power Platform and Dynamics 365. We will be going through our selected highlights. These release plans come with hundreds and hundreds of pages of information in them, and we've sorted that through so that you don't have to go through it all. So we're going to pick out our highlights and talk to you about why we think those are the most important things that you need to be aware of. Please pop any comments in the chat here if you're watching on the live stream. Whichever one of us isn't talking at any given moment will be there to answer questions, and we've also got a great team behind us helping to answer some questions. If you're watching it on replay, also feel free to pop questions in that LinkedIn chat there, because we will be keeping an eye on that after the event. If you are watching live, the first question that comes always is this going to be available afterwards? Yes, it is. Pretty much immediately after the live broadcast event ends, it will be available on replay, so feel free to watch it again or share it with your colleagues. So to kick us off, Rishona is going to start with what's new and the highlights in Power Platform. Over to you, Rishona.
All right, let's get to it. So the topics that I'll be covering, it will be around Power Platform. So we've got Power Apps, Power Automate, Virtual Agents, Power Pages, some Dataverse and AI Builder stuff too. And then later, Lisa will take us through what's new with Dynamics 365. So the main thing that we'll be seeing across is to do with Copilot. If you haven't heard about Copilot before, it's this AI tool or feature that Microsoft is introducing across a range of their features. So there's a Copilot in your Office or your Microsoft 365 tools. It's coming to all the Power Platform tools and Dynamics 365 as well. So exciting stuff for the Power Apps Studio. This is where you go and you build your Canvas apps out. Is that part of this release will be that we have a Copilot chat sitting within the interface here as we build out our app. The aim of this is to help us build it. So rather than you needing to spend hours, dragging things around on the screen, putting in your labels, putting in your buttons, you can simply just use Copilot as a way to type in what you want using natural language, and then Copilot will go ahead and make those changes to your screen for you. So for example, I know it can be quite time consuming if you wanted to maybe select every label you had on your screen and change the color of it. You wanted to change the fill or the font size used. So you can simply type it in and it will do it for you. The screenshot that I have here is what that Copilot chat will look like, but when we actually get it, will be sitting embedded in here. In fact, we already have something close to this that's already available for you to try in Power Apps, where you can use Copilot to create a Dataverse table for you. So you can, at the moment, you can type in things like, I want to create a table to manage events. I want to put in some sample data. These are my columns, and then it will go and do the work. So that's something that we can experience so far with it. But soon enough, we'll also see it on this page here. And what to do with Copilot on that same topic is it will let us be crafting our formulas too. If we've got any Canvas app builders here, we all know that writing and remembering Power FX formulas is usually the most annoying part of all of this, especially if you're someone who doesn't work with Canvas apps on a daily basis. Then it can be quite a struggle for you to need to remember what these formulas are. And you end up spending a lot of time troubleshooting them or trying to do a search to find what is the right Power FX formula to use. So the ability to type in natural language what you want to do. You might have a gallery on your app and you want to filter that gallery based on something. You can simply type it in Copilot and then it will generate that formula that you can use straight away. We already have something similar to this called Ideas in Power Apps, which is what that one of the screenshots in there shows. But essentially whatever that can do now will be brought into that same Power Apps chat, or the Copilot chat that we have in Power Apps. More on the Canvas app side is that we will also be seeing these nice, beautiful, and responsive templates available for creators to use. If you have ever tried to go and build a Canvas app out, you're probably used to seeing what we have on the left side there of the screen as the template that you get. It's not really that pretty. It gets the job done, but it could use some work in terms of making it look a bit better. The responsive and the new templates that we are getting will allow you to customize it a bit more. It will be automatically responsive, which means that if you open up the app that you build via phone or your tablet, it will scale to whatever that size is. And like we can see, we can add in things like nicer visuals in terms of you want to bring in like pie charts, color code things, and the overall look of it is a lot more nicer than the traditional templates that we have. Also on the formula side is that this is a quick one. We've got now the ability to move where we have that formula bar sitting. Traditionally, it's located at the top of the screen where you only have a small line to be typing your formulas in, which isn't ideal if you have a very big formula. You can't really see what you're doing. So you'll have the option to move it over on the side of the screen where it will sit like this. You can clearly see everything that you've written out in the formula to help you compose it a lot faster. Last one that I have here for Power Apps. When people discover that they have access to Power Apps for the first time, they generally end up, first of all, in your company's default environments. You have little control over this space. They start building in there, and soon it becomes quite a mess. But environment routing is a feature that will be coming to managed environments that will make Power Platform admins to give them the ability to direct who your new makers are. Send them off to their own developer environment where they can go to the Maker portal page instead of that default environment first. And the good thing about this developer environment is that the person who it's their environment for, they will have that flexibility to do things like use Dataverse, build model-driven apps, and it doesn't affect what you have sitting in that default environment. So there'll be more control over it. I have a couple of Dataverse-specific features here. So the first one is around the Microsoft 365 Business Chat. So another Copilot one. This is a chatbot experience that works across your Office 365 apps like email, calendar, documents, your meetings. It can pull in all the information from these places when you ask it a question. Like we can see, I've got an example of it here, sitting within Teams. But what was recently announced as part of this is the key thing. This will be grounded in Dataverse. This means that your enterprise data in your model-driven apps, Dynamics 365, it will be core to this experience in Business Chat. Say you want to prepare for an upcoming meeting with a customer. You could say in the chat, prepare me for my next meeting. And it can pull through all of the things you need, like what were your recent activities, any notes you need to know about, emails across your CRM, documents that are all relating to this customer. But the aim is to not only summarize this information for you and your teams across sources, it can in fact be used to create content for you while also referring to whatever your enterprise data contains. You can get it to draft an email on your behalf, and then you can use that, immediately go ahead and send it through to your customer. So the aim of this is that ultimately it makes you spend less time searching whatever data and documents you have across the many systems that you use. It will put the right information in the place where you need it, so you can then focus on the more important work. As we know, data hygiene is key to every organization. You need to make sure that your data is valid and current. So Dataverse, it can do basic data validation. So if you have an email field and you type in something that isn't an email address, Dataverse will tell you that it's not in the right format. Or if you try and put in maybe text in something that should be a date field, then Dataverse can check that for you. But what if you wanted more advanced checking of this data? It is possible to bring in third-party plugins to do this. Say if you wanted to be able to do something such as validate addresses that you might be entering in. But we're seeing this come natively to the Dataverse intelligence layer. This screenshot that I've got here is an example. So Lisa, I actually grabbed this from your YouTube video, which was talking about this one here.
I grabbed it from the Microsoft new release notes, so it's getting a good workout.
For some reason, I think I missed it from there.
Yeah.
But the idea is that this is what it will look like. And so let's say if you need to enter in someone's email address, traditionally it will tell you if it's in the right format. But now it can also, or it will soon also be able to tell you more around that. So is it even a valid email address? Does this domain exist? It will give you reasons why it's not valid. So the first thing that we'll see this come across is email. But then also I think the idea is that this will be introduced across the different types of fields and type of data that you can store in here. Another good thing about this is that it makes it easier for the people managing the data. So then you know straight away if there's something that you need to go and check that's invalid that you can go and fix in your system, making sure that your data is always current and consistent. I think this is something that comes up every time I run a Power Automate training. We always have the question, I have someone who's left my organization. What can I do with their flows? So at the moment, to manage people's flow, it is quite a manual process. You need to go and manage each flow individually if someone leaves your organization. Whereas this new feature coming will give admins the ability to bulk manage whatever flows in your organization might be abandoned. So unfortunately, there were no screenshots of what this will look like yet. But what I've got here in the picture is just of the Power Platform Admin Center in the Power Automate environment. So the Power Platform Admin Center is where eventually you'll be able to go in as an admin to see these abandoned flows. So you'll be able to see which ones are from users who don't work here anymore. You can reassign them to new people. Otherwise, you would have to need to go in manually to assign that new flow or do something with that flow. So this gives admins that visibility across the organization of what are the current flows people are using, which ones are important, and what maintenance do they need. There has been an update to the Power Automate licensing. So this one wasn't actually noted in the release notes, but it's something that came out over the last few weeks, which is a good thing to know as well in terms of Power Automate and what you can now do with your license. So the Power Automate license, it also now includes some RPA, so robotic process automation, the desktop flows functionality, as well as process mining. So that means that on your Power Automate license, where at the moment you might only be using it for cloud flows, it will also give you some capacity to be using desktop flows. So this is where you can record yourself performing tasks on your computer, such as on an Excel spreadsheet or the file explorer that you have, where you click and you record yourself doing things. So that's the RPA functionality, and you'll be able to do that on your Power Automate license.
It's a massive value add to that license compared to what you pay standalone for that functionality. So well worth exploring now that you're going to get it included.
Absolutely. And also to add on to that, to make it even more better for value, is that you also get the process mining capability. If you haven't used process mining before, it looks similar to what I've got in those screenshots here. It's this tool in Power Automate that lets you identify performance issues that might be there in your processes that you have across your organization. So it lets people record how they perform processes. So, like maybe a task such as processing an invoice, people can record the task that they do. It maps the time taken, the steps involved. So you end up with some analytics and some insights into how much time is being spent on this, or are there certain steps that can be eliminated, things that might need to be added to it. So this tool ultimately helps you identify any bottlenecks that you might have across your processes and uncover inefficiencies. So this is definitely something you can go and have a try at now, and you can do that on your Power Automate license. Apart from the Power Automate stuff, where I said it's a common question we get, I think the other most common question I get every time I run training on Power Virtual Agents is the question is, I want to build a bot that can connect to SharePoint so that my employees and workers can use the bot to search my SharePoint content and documents. So the good news about this is that now that's possible. It's a preview feature currently. It allows you to connect your bot to an internal SharePoint site, OneDrive. It can also connect to any public website to generate answers to people. And even better is that you don't need to go and create a topic for this. People can simply type in a question, and whether or not the bot has been set up to recognize what that question is, it can do a search in your SharePoint and then produce the relevant content for the person talking to the bot anyway. So generative answers is what that's called, and that's got to be one of my favorite new features that's out there across the Power Platform. But something that you haven't seen yet, that was also part of this release, is that Dataverse will be a part of that too. So now you can search content you have in Dataverse as well as SharePoint, OneDrive, or the web, or online to generate answers for people talking to the bot. It's a bit like having your own chat GPT, but you're pointing it to, what your data actually is. Using Copilot in Power Pages. So there's a few areas where this is available currently to try out, and some more areas that this will be coming to as well. Similar to what we had in Power Apps, where you can use this to type in natural language what you want to create. So say you want to set up a Power Page or a portal for your users to maybe book a meeting. You can use the Copilot pane within this to describe that. It will generate that Power Page for you. In addition to that, you can use it for updating specific components, such as a form you might have on your Power Page. Do you want the form to collect certain information? It can go and create that table for you, create that form, and it cuts down the time for you to be manually going and adding in all these columns and designing that form yourself. Then the last one for me is around this AI Builder new model that's coming. This is the ability to transcribe speech to text. It already exists as part of Azure Cognitive Services, but this makes it accessible to the low-code audience to use in apps and flows. It's handy for those use cases where you have phone calls, meeting recordings, audio logs, and you want to transcribe them, maybe to search on keywords, build analytics, detect sentiment, or summarize what that phone call was. So you'll be able to do this with this new model, arriving to try out in March next year. And Lisa, time for you to take us through the Dynamics 365 pages.
Thanks, Rishona. There's so much in that Power Platform stuff, and there is absolutely crossover here. I'm going to go through the highlights from the Dynamics 365 side of things, both the customer engagement and the finance and operations side of things. But remember that there is a connection between some of those things that Rishona was talking about in Power Platform and the customer engagement apps, which I'm going to have a look at first. In particular, those things coming to Dataverse around being able to validate data, about being able to do things like having your business data grounded in Copilot in Teams. This is all the same platform underneath that's used for the sales, marketing, and service applications. So we're going to see those features also available to you if you use those applications as well. So let's take a look through the Dynamics 365 customer engagement part of the world first. Big announcement here around something that's shifting with the marketing capability in the platform. Now, this is primarily a naming and licensing change. It is actually a very favorable licensing change. You're going to get a lot more for your money than you did before. and this will take effect from the 1st of September. So essentially, we have got two products that make up the marketing capability of the platform, and they're going to both be under this new banner of Customer Insights. Now, we've had the Customer Insights name for a little while already. This brings these things together, and I think this is a really good way of thinking about it, because instead of thinking about marketing in isolation, where we are sending out personalized journeys, emails, SMSs, those kinds of communications, this brings a more holistic picture to say, actually, the core foundation of working with marketing and working with personalized communications for your customers is unifying your data, having a central view of your customer, including consent, and then being able to segment and target based on that by activating that both through marketing and through any other kind of channels. So what we'll have now, two halves of the marketing product. The products themselves can still be used in isolation and don't actually change, but you will be able to purchase them together. Product formerly known as marketing will become customer insights journeys. Product formerly known as customer insights will now be customer insights data. Do reach out to us if you'd like to know more about how this might impact you, if you've already got one or both of these things, or if you're interested in these things. Rishona did a great session, which you'll also find here in the Barhead live stream on whatever channel of choice you're watching it on. We've certainly got it saved on YouTube and LinkedIn, so you can go and have a look at that for more information. The other piece that's really critical here is that marketing is working now in this new real-time marketing capacity. If you're still using marketing as it was maybe a couple of years ago with the outbound marketing capability, you might have noticed no new improvements, no new features there. From the 1st of September, when this takes effect, any new deployments will only be using real-time marketing. There is so much more capability there. So if you are still on that old version of that and you'd like to learn more about how you can shift across, don't have to migrate data or anything. It's just being able to uplift and use those new capabilities, then please reach out to us and we would be delighted to help you with that. So then in terms of new features coming through on this customer insights and marketing piece, the thing here that is the most exciting from my point of view is being able to do lead qualification, lead routing, and lead scoring. So we've had lead scoring in the marketing platform for a while. This is something that everybody asks about. People want to be able to grade and qualify those leads automatically based on the engagement, based on the interaction, and hand them off to become a sales qualified lead. And we're seeing a major enhancement to this capability, which is that we will be able to qualify leads based on things that are more than just the points scoring system. So we do that typical thing of someone clicks on an email, it's 5 points, registers for an event, 10 points, and so on, that we will be able to use signals like how well does this fit our desired customer profile, what is their intent, how recent was it, and other metrics like that, as well as automatic qualification and disqualification based on all of those things. Now, Copilot everywhere. The AI is all over the platform. We saw an announcement of a name change. So the product formerly known as Viva Sales is now called Sales Copilot. This one is actually already generally available, but it's under a new brand, which actually makes a whole lot more sense. Sales Copilot sits inside Outlook, sits inside Teams, and helps you with AI-generated summaries and generative AI to be able to craft emails in the context of what you're doing for sales. There's a big roadmap here. I'm going to pick out a couple of key points, but there is a huge roadmap of how this is working as a part of Teams collaboration, how this is working in terms of being able to do these sort of AI generated summaries. So you'll see here an example of summarizing an email, but we are also going to see summarizing accounts, leads, opportunities, preparing for meetings, all those kinds of things. If you're using Dynamics 365 Sales, the Copilot is actually included in your enterprise license. So again, if you don't know that or haven't got that switched on, let us know and we'd be happy to show you how you can use that. If you are using another CRM, if you're using Salesforce, you can actually purchase Copilot as an add-on and connect it to Salesforce. If you're using Dynamics, however, in addition to getting it included, you can have it sitting inside your Dynamics app as well as having it sitting inside Outlook. So we've got an example here that shows that of the Copilot giving you a summary of that lead record, and similar experiences coming through where it can summarize the account and the opportunity there as well. There are some other things, and this is back to this concept of grounding your business data with the Copilot, is being able to say, this can suggest content for you. So there's a few things on the roadmap in this vein. I really like this one, that as we're working through something here, let's say I've got a lead and I'm working through the content, working through that process, this is actually going to summarize a document for me and help me find the right content. As sellers, there's a lot of information to get across and a lot of things to work through, in addition to the one Rishona was talking about before with Power Virtual Agents being able to reach out and get content for you. The use of AI to be able to summarize things and bring them right to where you're working is something that's going to be a massive productivity benefit. On the customer service side, plenty of Copilot love there as well. So we have got a conversation summary here. Imagine you're an agent and you're coming in after the fact, maybe to help someone with a follow-up question, and there's a great big long conversation thread. AI can kind of summarize that and get you across that quickly. We've also got within the customer service space AI all over the knowledge base capability, as well as being able to summarize cases too. So switching across here to have a look at some of the things on the ERP side of the fence, we have got within the project operations application. So this one is actually an app that helps you manage your entire end-to-end projects. So you can set them up, assign resources, manage your tracking, budgets, timesheets, all of those things. And so this is a really clever feature that's coming in here, which is an AI model that can help you select resources. So underneath here, you've got a history of who's been assigned to which projects, who's been working on what their skills are, what their availability is. And rather than having to go through and figure all of that out, we've got an AI model here that's going to suggest the resources based on those scores that it's applying. And this is using the experience, utilization rate, and cost to suggest the perfect person to fulfill each role in a project. Massive time saving there in terms of putting those things together. And last but certainly not least, in the finance application here, extended planning and analytics and this business performance analysis. So typically, traditionally within the finance space, we've got the finance department having to produce reports monthly, quarterly, annually, whatever that looks like. But increasingly, people actually need access to that information when they need it. I need it right now to help me make a good decision or to help me understand how to improve performance. So one way of handling that, to get data scientists in to help with all of those things. What we're seeing coming through now, though, is something that enables everyday users, regardless of their skill level, to have a much greater access to things. And there's a lot in the platform that's really democratizing access to your data in this way. So familiar tools here inside the finance application that someone can come in and use, Power BI or Excel, and certainly, not every user is familiar with Power BI, but Excel is really kind of bringing that level to a mainstream business user level, where they can have a look at these reports in tools that they're familiar with, and then AI modeling in there to give you snapshots and things about what's gone on and to suggest those good actions to take forward in your business. All right, that's it from the dynamic side. I will hand back to Rishona now to take us forward into some other recommendations we've got for you.
All right, thanks, Lisa. So I got to say, I think the Sales Copilot stuff is my favorite out of the dynamics. I've been using that quite a bit recently. Do you have any favorites
good,
from the Power Platform side?
Oh, look, I think the piece about the Dataverse where the business data is grounded, so that whole business chat thing, it's a bit hard to get your head around, but that idea that I'm in Teams and I can say, oh, tell me what's going on with this opportunity, and that's actually reaching out into your Dataverse data and using Copilot in Teams to bring those things. So for me, that kind of brings all the pieces together in that single pane experience.
Yeah, definitely keen to get my hands on that one too.
Oh yeah.
All right, everyone, if you do have any favorites, let us know in the chat. Just a final few things here about some upcoming events and where to next. So we've talked about the different tools that we've got, but if you feel that you want to get your teams upskilled on any of this technology, then that's one of the things that we do here at Barhead. So I often run training sessions across the Power Platform, Dynamics 365. So if you're looking to learn more about the features that we've covered today, reach out to us. Over in the chats, we'll post some links to some further resources and where you can find out a list of the different training offerings we have across the tools, as well as certifications as well. And thanks, Lisa. You just popped that in LinkedIn there. Some upcoming events. This is an exciting one. We have our quarterly networking events coming up in the Melbourne and Sydney office. So these are open for any of you to attend if you happen to be in those cities. And during these events, we'll also be having discussions around the Copilot and AI tools that we're seeing across the platform. So come along to that. You'll be able to find a link to register in one of the links that Lisa posted to our Barhead events calendar. So hopefully we'll see you there. And I'll be running some Power Platform certification training on the fundamentals exam later on in September. So once again, if you're keen to either sit that exam or you need to prep for it, then we'll be taking a day. This is what that training is for, to train you on what you need to know before you go and sit that fundamentals cert. And you can find a link to register for that over in our events calendar. And with that said, thank you everyone for coming along today to learn about what's new and upcoming with Power Platform and Dynamics 365. Connect with us on LinkedIn. Keep a lookout on our calendar for upcoming events that we have. At the moment, we don't have any more live scheduled, but keep a lookout. If you have any topics in mind that you would love to hear us talk about, let us know as well, and we'll put something in the calendar for that. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Rishona. Thanks, everyone.